Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing our homeschool schedule for this coming school year. And so if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool and lifestyle content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. All right, so I have my notes here so that I don't forget to tell you anything. And this particular video will apply more to quarter one than the whole year, but the general idea is the same. For the whole school year, we generally follow the same schedule, just little things change every quarter depending on extracurricular stuff, which we don't do a whole lot of, but occasionally we do, or even just the science, geography, even the weather. You know, when it gets snowy and stuff, things might change and we have to adapt to that. So this will focus a little bit on goals for quarter one, but also be applicable to the whole year. So I want to start off by telling you the ages of my kids, how long we've homeschooled, all that kind of stuff. Just if you're new around here or want to know those things so you kind of have an idea as I'm going through what our schedule looks like. So I have 6 kids. I almost said 5. There's 6 kids and it goes boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And my oldest is 12 and a half. Let's see if I can remember all of them. Right, my daughter is 11. The next boy is 9 and a half. The next girl is 7. And then I have a boy that is 2 and a half and a baby, she just turned 1 like a few weeks ago. So we don't, you know, they participate in homeschool as far as that they're in the way a lot, the little kids, but they are not yet doing all the things. But the 4 older ones are. And we have been homeschooling basically from the beginning. We pulled my oldest out of kindergarten about a month into kindergarten. So this is going into our 8th year, which every time I say that, it's very, very crazy to me. But yes, 8 years of homeschooling. So that's what we're doing, is going to our 8th year of homeschooling. And we've had a variety of schedules. We've done a variety of things. It's all been sort of similar, but then there's been some things that have been different over the years. Okay, so a few other things. When do we normally start homeschooling? Like for the school year, we usually start like right after Labor Day. That's just what we've always done, kind of because I just don't want to start school and have to be that like committed to it. And so I just push it off. The school district here starts next week. And so usually we're a couple weeks behind them or whatever, but generally we'll follow their schedule. And if they have like a day off or something, my kids can probably take that day off and go play and things like that. Not always, but sometimes. Sometimes they still need to finish their schoolwork before they do that. Another thing that might be important to note is my oldest is autistic. He's high functioning autistic. And so that creates a different dynamic in our homeschool. My husband is a university professor, so his job is very, very flexible. So a lot of the times he helps with some of our homeschool, especially with my oldest, because there's a lot of conflict that goes on if we don't have him helping him, like taking him to a different spot and doing schoolwork with him. And so it's helpful to have another adult. You know, like we thought about a homeschool helper, but we've just never done it. And since my husband's schedule is flexible enough, he's just kind of my homeschool helper. And so he helps with my son as well. So I think generally those are the things that you need to know about us and just that will make the schedule maybe make a little bit more sense for why we do things a certain way that might be different than what you do. All right, so we homeschool Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is kind of a flex day for us. We use it for if we needed to catch up on stuff, if we have appointments, I try to just have them scheduled that day. If we want to do some game schooling, a bigger art project, cooking, if we want to do a hike or something like that, I try to keep Fridays for that type of stuff. It doesn't always work out super well. We don't always utilize it super well. But then Monday through Thursday, we do schoolwork. So that includes switching off between science, and currently we're doing geography with a few like mini units of history. So I haven't decided exactly where to put those mini units. It kind of depends on what days take longer for group work. So they need to go in the shorter days so that we're not taking super long days for group work. But we do science Monday, Wednesdays, and then geography Tuesday and Thursdays. And so then I'll add history in here and there. We probably won't even do it every single day or, you know, every other day, every week. It'll just be little spatterings throughout the year. And our read alouds might actually do more with our history than actually sitting down and doing like mini units, because I can just do a read aloud every day and we can discuss some history through that, like some historical fiction type things or memoir type things. So that's generally what we do. But our homeschool days start off with me having some time to myself. My kids have been trained basically from a very, very young age to not get out of bed till 7. Most of them will sleep until 6:30 or 7, but they're not allowed to come out of their rooms till 7. Even my toddler does this. He's now in a big bed, which is exciting. We're so excited to have him in a big bed. But he will stay in his room until 7. You know, he'll start yelling at us, but he'll wait until we come and get him. And so I usually get up at 6 or 6:15. It kind of fluctuates depending on what's going on. And so I'll get up early, do some scripture study. I occasionally do meditation. It's been a while since I've done meditation because I had a baby, I had ankle surgery, life's been just kind of crazy. But scripture study I do, and now that I can exercise regularly again after my ankle surgery, I'll do exercise, but that doesn't usually start before 7. Usually I'm doing scripture study during that time. And then my husband will take care of the kids for breakfast, and I will go on a walk, I will lift, you know, do yoga, whatever my plan is for exercise that day, I'll do that. So we usually end up starting school around 9 o'clock, which, you know, if I need to get ready for the day to film something or whatever, then it might be pushed a little bit depending on how long my workout takes, breakfast, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes my kids are ambitious and they'll start their individual subjects before 9 o'clock, which is fine. And they'll just do what they already know how to do. And then once they get to their individual subjects later, they won't have as much to do. So that's kind of how the morning looks for us. And then we do school, we try to do group work first. Some days it has to flip-flop, but usually we do it first. And then my kids will work on their individual subjects. Some of them are done by lunchtime. Some of them still have to do a few things after lunchtime. Obviously, as they keep getting older, it'll flow more into after lunch as well. I personally am not one that homeschools all day long. You know, if you're getting technical and being like, well, they're at home and you're teaching them stuff all day long, then okay, yes, we're homeschooling all day long. But as far as me being with them, teaching them stuff, or us going to do something as a family, or like with me and the kids, I do not do that all day long. I know several people that do. I know some people on YouTube. I have a good friend that does homeschool more like that. I personally need a break. I am not one of those moms that is like, I love homeschooling, this is my calling in life. I'm like, you know, yes, now it is my calling, but it wasn't something that I had planned on doing or really even wanted to do. And still sometimes when kids get to go back to school, I'm like, I still feel that little bit of like, oh, this would be nice. But it is what we do now. And, you know, I try to find joy in the journey of everything. But I also need time to myself and breaks. And so when the afternoon hits, my kids, you know, get some screen time, they have quiet time, they do some different things that they're just can do independently while my little kids are napping and stuff, so that mom can have a break from everybody else. So I'm not one to go out and do all the activities and, you know, have my babies nap in the car or anything like that, or have them nap on me while we're out doing things. I just don't do that. If you do that and that's the way you like to do it, then that's great for you, but it does not work for me. And so our afternoons, like once lunchtime hits, a lot of homeschool is just turned off for the day. My kids are basically done. Occasionally I have to help a child after lunch, but not very often. And as they get older, hopefully they'll just be able to do stuff themselves. We're always still here for questions and stuff, but they'll probably have to ask my husband because it'll be too hard for me anyways. But that's kind of what it looks like. And then we have dinner together almost every single night. Usually at 5:30, like clockwork. We'll usually go outside at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and just play, like when it's nice weather. It's been cooling down a little bit here, which I love so much. And so we'll go out and just play, and the kids can just enjoy being outside. I might sit and read a book, and I'll make dinner, and we usually almost always have dinner at 5:30 every single night. And dinner is a very sacred time for me personally, for our family. It's very, very important. Research has shown again and again how important it is to have dinner together as a family. And so it is rarely interrupted. Occasionally it is, with work things for my husband or with activities, but rarely is it interrupted. We try to keep it as sacred as possible, and occasionally we have to bump it up or, push it a little bit later, but we keep it there. And then my kids are in bed by 6:30 to 7. My baby goes to bed at 6:30, and then the other kids are in bed by 7. Again, if they have a few activities a few nights a week, occasionally they're in bed later, and then lights out by 9. They can sit and read in their rooms for a few hours, and then lights out. So that's just an overview of, that's generally what our schedule always looks like throughout the whole day, throughout the week. That's what it looks like. So for this particular quarter, my kids will have piano on Wednesday mornings. And so that will throw things just a little bit. We'll probably just do group work later, right before lunch that day instead, because they have piano, I think, from 8:30 to 10, because 3 of them go. So it's just one right after another for a half an hour. And so that will be Wednesday mornings, which, I'm grateful, it interrupts no matter where we try to put it, but she's able to fit us in because we're homeschooled and we have a flexible schedule during the day, whereas her schedule is super full with other students on, the outsides of those school hours in the morning, early morning, and after school. And so the fact that we can just go see this piano teacher, since we had to switch piano teachers just recently, I'm just very grateful that we can do it, and she lives very close to us, so it's not so bad. So they'll have that on Wednesday mornings. Again, my oldest he doesn't do piano, and he used to, but not anymore. And so he can start working on his schoolwork and stuff, and then the other ones will come back and just have a later start to their day. Or if they wanna work on school stuff while people are at piano, right, they can still do that, because they're not at piano that whole time, just one child is. So we'll do group work later that day. And then my son, my 9-year-old and my 7-year-old are probably gonna play on basketball league just for the city, and probably will start the end of October, which will be the end of our first quarter most likely, or maybe some into it, we'll see. I can't remember exactly. So that might change a few things as well. It's more in the evenings and on the weekends, not so much during the day, but that will be added into our schedule. And then we're part of a charter school, and my 11-year-old daughter, one of her elective classes is to do Fax Ed, which is family and consumer science, so home ec type things. And so I might see there's a few places I think locally that do some cooking classes and stuff. So I might check into some of those things. So that's another thing that might be added to our schedule, but I'm not sure exactly when it would be added. And I think most of them are single classes and stuff like that. So maybe we'd sign her up for a few of them. I'm not completely sure yet. Okay, so a few other things that are more specific to quarter one than the rest of the year would be getting outside and being more active, which I just talked about in some of my goals for the whole year. But fall is a really good time for that before it gets too cold for us to be able to do a whole lot of that stuff. And so I want to have probably Friday mornings have some sort of hiking schedule. Again, I mentioned in my other video, so this might sound like a broken record if you've been watching both of them, but I need to talk to my husband and figure out the best day for us to put that in. And so we might have to rearrange our schedules a little bit, or it would just maybe be every other week, or we could do something every week and I'll pick an easier place to hike that I could take all the kids by myself, and maybe we'll do something harder on the off week or something, like when he can come. And so we'll have to kind of plan that out, but that's what I see Friday for. And then also a PE class. It's just gonna be me leading the PE class. This isn't something super formal, but I think in the past we've done Tuesday, Thursdays, which can work well. for us, or maybe we'll do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. So I want to do a fitness test, and then maybe we'll have one day that's yoga, one day where the hiking would come in, right? So Friday, that would be our exercise. And then another thing where we could either get outside and do something. Maybe we could do a little obstacle course. I have a whole bunch, it's from Amazon. It's like a set with like some different activities on it. So push-ups, I'm trying to think of all the things, sit-ups, the basic things, jumping jacks, but also some like there's planks, things that aren't as like basic or normal. And you can set them out and have them run, and they have to do a certain amount, and you could time it and see how quickly they can do it, but also make sure that they're doing the things correctly, because sometimes most of the time they're not doing them correctly. And I'm like, what is that? That is not what you think it is. And then the last thing that's more specific to this quarter is having my kids pick a state that we just talked about in geography, because we only go through a certain amount of states, and then doing a little report on it. So I might have them pick at the beginning. I'll give them all the states we're gonna be talking about, and then they can also pay attention as we go through. But having a day a week that they can go over that. Again, I don't know if Fridays is best for this. This is still a sort of up in the air schedule, and then it's also a schedule that could change depending on if we try it on a certain day and it doesn't work as well, or I see that there's a gap in our schedule that it could work better, that will move it. And so there's the idea of it, but then where it actually works best could move depending on just, again, where it works best. It might not work best to do it Fridays, or one of our days might be not as busy as I thought, or it might be more busy than I thought. So it might be better to do it on a different day. And so just giving them a few minutes that we can get on the computer, they can look up something about the state and things like that, where it's just focused on that, is what I want them to do the first quarter for their public speaking, to practice public speaking. And so again, this was in my like homeschool goals video that would have come out right before this. And then I'll switch it from quarter to quarter. I'll decide if we want to do a state again, or if we want to focus on something maybe we talked about in science, or even just a person from history, or whatever it is, we'll pick something. But this first quarter, we're going to focus on one of the states we're talking about, and then they can share a few minutes of things they've learned, have some sort of object they can show, or a picture they've painted or something to go along with that. So giving them some time to work on that. Again, it might just be Fridays. That might be the best day to do it. So those are kind of my ideas. You're like, this is not a schedule. Yes, it's not exactly, because I have tried to do exact schedules and they do not work because things get thrown off. Kids do things that throws off the schedule, or they don't get through curriculum like you thought they would, or they get through it faster than you thought they would, all the things. And so if I have everything just set in stone and have it all scheduled out, it's gonna be messed up in a day. So I have tried to do that and it doesn't work. So this is generally the ideas, and it's flexible depending on how our days look and what days they seem to work best on. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below and let me know what your schedule looks like this year. Do you homeschool in the morning, in the afternoon? Is it an all day sort of thing? Do you have extracurricular stuff in the middle of the day that makes you have to do homeschool kind of split, or whatever? Just let me know. I'd love to hear how you kind of work out your schedules, and I know it's helpful for other people that are watching this video. And remember to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.